Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Card Spotlight. This week I'm going to cover Voice of Hunger, a green card that devours friendly creatures to gain additional power. Now just to clarify, Card Spotlight is a two-part series. It has an article and a video to go with the article, and the article for this video is in the description below, so be sure to read up on it if you haven't, if you want a bit of context of why I've chosen this card. Now, Voice of Hunger is a very powerful card, but unfortunately suffers at the hands of very popular decks like Blue Jump and Yellow Events, thanks to their removal and transform abilities. However, against decks like Mono Green, Green Red Crackthorn and Mono Red, this card can become incredibly powerful and hard to deal with because its stats can snowball out of control if you devour enough creatures. So I've developed a deck for this card specifically, and I'm going to play it on ladder and just show you guys this card in action. So let's get into the match and see how I do. I have been testing this deck quite frequently, trying to figure out a list where Voice of Hunger can be quite useful. I've come up with this build in response to the meta game. There's been quite a bit of burn recently on the ladder. I'm not sure why burn has picked up in popularity, but I've included a bit of extra healing and also been able to use the Voice of Hunger to get around the red side of the burn decks. And as you can see here, we have Voice of Hunger in the opening hand. He's not going to be doing much for now, but maybe he will have some relevance later. I recently added Deepwood Stalker because of Oaklin. Now, Oaklin's a very powerful card, and you can use it to crack it open with the Voice of Hunger to gain its power up. Now, we are playing against Rush. It's not very often I get to play against Rush, and usually these days it is the combat burn, the combat variety. Most of the time that is going to be the case. In this specific situation, I feel like a Voice of Hunger is fine on its own, and we're just going to drop it there as a 3/5. Not the best stat line for a 5 Faeria creature, but looking at the quality of my hand, I want to get an early Faeria Harvester. I have kind of given away some of the tactics of my deck, but I'm more interested in getting Faeria, and I don't really mind if I've kind of showed my hand already. He kind of knows what to expect now, but if this is a red variation, he is going to struggle with a very powerful creature, and it is a red variation, so perhaps I've walked into a favorable matchup here. We'll have to see. And that is a Cypher's Fodder, so this is perhaps a more burn variant after all. I now have a very powerful line. I can go for double neutral, take the Faeria, use the Emperor's Command to reduce the power and life of this creature here, and then use the Deepwood Stalker to clear it up. And the Deepwood Stalker survives, which is awesome because it allows me to collect Faeria next turn unless he has, say, a Cypher's Wrath or a Flame Burst to remove it. If he has a Cypher's Wrath, it's a little sad. You know, I'd rather him use a Flame Burst in the situation because that's a Flame Burst not going to my orb. And looks like it is going to be a Grim Guard coming down with a Gift of Steel, so already investing a lot of power into this attack. And there is the Voice of Truth ripped off the top. That is incredible. It means I have to develop a forest. I wanted to double neutral here to lock out his land progression. Having to go for the forest now does give him an opportunity to place an aggressive mountain here in the future. You can go double neutral, get that mountain and get that axe grinder spot, but the Voice of Truth is just perfect in this situation, and I'm going to develop it on the left side. This Voice of Hunger is going to live through this exchange, and this will allow me to have a collector on either side. So let's take the damage there. Unfortunately, already dealt 6 damage to us through the Cypher's Fodder and the 2 combat initiations of combat there to clear it. It's already taken a bit of damage, but there is a fair amount of healing. You know, I have that Tiki healer if I need it, and I also have some Emperor's commands, and it's going to be another fodder, and I'm absolutely fine with that. Might take this opportunity to collect Faeria. Now things start to get very interesting. So we are going to collect. We can take the clear. Take the clear. We're going to take a neutral actually in this spot and push another neutral up this side to set up an aggressive forest in the near future for teleportation. And then we're just going to clear this card. Just going to take care of it. We'll drop the Willow. Because I can have this Willow harvest a Faeria on the right hand side first, and then play the Voice of Hunger after, and gaining +7/+7. And we can see here already land blocking. You know, he's a little concerned, and that is such a passive play for us. That gives us a lot of breathing room. Don't even have to go for the Voice of Hunger just yet. I have a Feed the Forest as well, which is going to be pretty nice. You know what? I might feed this one Willow for just additional Faeria and card acceleration. I'll then just drop a massive Voice of Hunger by here. I'll absorb both of these creatures. So let's move here. Let's go for the Willow line before I decide on developing any land. See what else is drawn. And another Willow. I can just make a huge voice, but I'd rather keep the Willow as a defensive line in the future. So let's develop some aggressive lands. Again, forcing him to build more lands defensively, and that stops him from drawing cards, gaining Faeria, making just life generally awkward, and then nom nom nom, we're going to eat these two guys up. Now, before I make this play, positioning is so important when playing your Voice of Hunger. They have to be adjacent, and anything adjacent to it will get destroyed and devoured, so be careful when summoning creatures. And look, 15-17 against a red player. Oh my goodness. What is he gonna do? I wouldn't be surprised if he just surrendered right now. I have a taunt. I have this giant Voice of Hunger, and he just has this little court jester sitting on the top right hand side. I actually talked about court jester in my last card spotlight. If you didn't see that, be sure to check that out. And there's a teleport, so we don't need any of a land right now. I could clear this with a teleport, setting this up in an aggressive position, but we haven't quite stabilized just yet. So we'll take a draw, picks up Elderwood Embrace, take the double collection, and then we'll just pass. Because this is it. This is his aggressive avenue. He could double neutral down here or double neutral down here to develop an aggressive mountain in the future. However, right now this is it. And both of these creatures have access to these two mountain spots. The more time he spends playing lands, the more time I have to breathe, essentially. Alright, so Cypher coming down. Planning to munch up my Willow. But Voice of Hunger has a few things to say about that, so I'm going to take this mountain. This is a good mountain spot for Axe Grinder. I'm going to take this right now. Play this Grove Caller. Shimmy this guy over. And bam. Bye-bye, Cypher. And still 12 life left. This guy's nowhere near dying. And I might be able to take care of the Court Jester as well, depending on what he decides to do with it. But even now, the Voice of Hunger is in range of these two mountains, which is where I imagine he is going to want to develop his aggressive creatures. And we have a Grimguard going off to the left-hand side there. Do I even care? That is the question. Another Feed the Forest picked up. I want to keep the Willow as a defensive option, but also as a superior power-up to my Voice of Hunger. So we're going to take the collection on the left-hand side here, drop the Feed the Forest, pick up a Piper. Not very useful right now. This is no threat to me. So I'm going to move up. I'm going to clear this Faeria Harvester. And I would take this land, but I'd rather force him to build land next turn if he wants to collect Faeria and push aggressively. So for this turn, I'm going to draw a card. And another Voice of Truth shows up. So Piper might not be a bad idea here. Just drop a Piper, buff itself, and I can take the collection, maybe teleport this Voice of Hunger back and clear this out on the following turn. Alternatively, I could just not play anything, avoid the left side altogether, and just focus on this right-hand side. So I'm going to move here now. So on the next turn, I harvest from this Faeria well straight away at the start of the turn. And then I can shimmy back into a defensive position if I need to. If he doesn't take defensive land here, I will make an aggressive line next turn. Oh wow, that's not gonna help. I'll take aggressive land on here for the forest, and then on the following turn I can make a teleportation play, which could close out the match for me. And there's an Emperor's Command to boot, so I even have some heals to sustain me. I have tons of Faeria. So we're going to take an Elderwood Embrace, we're going to clear this guy out. And then we are going to pass. I'm not afraid of much. Double Flame Burst is 6. It's not enough to clear me. If this got Horsemastered, he's going to have to run into my Willow first. Horsemaster Horsemaster into the Gift of Steel is not enough, so we can't even clear this Willow. So we can take the pass. Giving me access to either of these lands was very dangerous for him. I think he should have taken the time to just double neutral here to make sure I couldn't teleport and push 15 damage next turn. This is going to put him on a 2-turn clock, follow my next turn, and I'm going to have enough healing and sustain to keep me going for a very long time, especially with this taunt. This guy's not going anywhere. He's going to shimmy onto this play here, and that is a big King's Faithful, so that was hit by the Court Jester. That's fine, I have plenty of healing. Don't need to take any land this turn. I've set up my aggressive land. I don't need any Faeria. I'm sitting on 20, so let's take the draw. Alright, we might as well just guarantee the win. We're going to use the Sagami Grove Caller to block. We're going to teleport this guy here, move, punch him for 15. We're going to develop a Tiki Piper. And we're going to push the health of this creature, so it's much harder for him to clear. And then we're just going to double heal. Don't even need to, in all honesty. We'll just take the one heal at this point, and then we're going to pass. So we're just going to see, does he have an answer to my 15-12 Voice of Hunger? Potentially he could have a Grimguard to delay the inevitable, but with the healing in hand and well, just the 1-turn clock now, the 15 power, Mono Red doesn't really have an answer to this. And I did explain in my article that this is a pretty good matchup for this style of deck. And there we go, the delay the inevitable Grimguard being dropped here. And this attack was just pointless, in all honesty. I'm just going to clear the King's Faithful, collect. Oh, I can't collect, I'm taunted. Scratch that. Have a Feed the Forest. Again, don't really need anything other than another teleport to set up lethal. So let's take the draw. I get an Okie Doklin. I'm going to Feed the Forest on this guy. Might want to drop the other Oaklin. Actually, I don't think it really matters at this point. I do end up powering up the Oaklin anyway. Take the Elderwood Embrace. Clear this out. Clear this out. Into my last Emperor's Command. And then we'll just drop a massive Oaklin aggressively, which can also finish him off now. And I believe that is the last Grimguard. That's probably the last taunt, unless he's running King's or Queen's Guard, but a 4 Faeria, he's not going to have enough to defend against the power of the Voice of Hunger. If you feed him well, he will provide you results. And that was a very quick match. So I'm going to go into another game. I'll see how I do in the next match. Match number 2. Let's see if I can go up against a more reasonable matchup. I did say in the article that red gets pretty stomped by this, especially mono red. We're going against a rank 7 player, Dispatch. I would like to play against, say, like a blue jump or a yellow event, just to give you a good idea of how Voice of Truth can really struggle. But here's another red player to potentially crack one. I'm hoping it's crack one because it gives us a better idea of how this matchup plays against green, especially if they're running the Voice of Truth. I've seen some crack fawn decks run it at the moment, and like I said in the article, Voice of Truth can be a bit sad. You know, it brings that Voice of Hunger back down to its 3/5 stats. But to be honest, 3/5 is better than, say, a 0/0 if you were to Voice of Truth an Illusion of Grandeur. Double Willow, not really much going on here. I don't mind contesting this. We're going against mono red. Against red rush is a bit different. We build defensively, just to fend off the aggression and set up a kill later. In a more mid-range battle, you want to develop to the side of your well. And that is a better way to do it. But Willow doesn't really offer much at the moment. It's only a 1/7. It doesn't challenge the Brigand. The Brigand could get a Gift of Steel, extending its power to a 5/6. So I have to see double neutral. Horsemaster, Gift of Steel, Ciphers? Potentially. Because he's going to gain additional Faeria from the Brigand's ability. And no, it's just going to take the value there. Oakland's pretty good. We'll take the Oakland, definitely. We can take the feed. Hopefully power up the Willow. The Willow is my ideal target here. I do hit the healer, unfortunately. I'm quite happy to take this as a 7/11. I don't get any value from the healing, but you know, it's just a bulky creature. I'm not expecting healing to be a big deal in this matchup, especially if it's mono red. So let's just take this as a 7/11, and don't be afraid to do this in the early game if your Oaklands do say hit your Tiki healing. If you're going against, if you know you're going against red yellow burn, I would perhaps hold off. Gives you a bit of burst healing, gives you a good defender later on. But sometimes you just want to play it for tempo, you know. I've dropped a 7/11 creature. It's going to be a big problem for a mono red player to deal with. So it should stick to the board. If I invest more power-ups into it in the Elder of the Wood Embrace, it can become an even bigger problem. You know, 11 life is a lot. You know, the red players can have to invest either creatures or event-based removal in order to clean this up. Looks like he's just going to block me from moving into the double collection spot, taking a Faeria of his own. So this is pretty good for him. But I'll start pushing up from here. He might drop a Ground Shaker or something in this spot. It applies more pressure to this healer. But I'm not too concerned. If I was to pick up, say, another Elderwood Embrace, I'd be in a fantastic position because I could double Elderwood on my Willow. It's going to be a Cypher. I'll take the Cypher clear. And he does have Cypher's Wrath. This I don't mind so much. I will mind if I pick up the Elderwood Embrace, but if I don't pick up the Elderwood Embrace, I'm in a position where he can't gain value from killing my Willow by going for the Cypher clear. So we're doing okay on Faeria. We have some good cards in hand. Let's take a draw. And that's a Piper. So Piper's not very good in this situation, nor is Willow, because I want to take the clear on the Cypher. So this means... well, this means I leave this up and it could move here. I might have to just Willow into Elderwood and let him take a bit of Faeria value just to lock this into place to keep my land tidy. Alternatively, I just take the clear on the Brigand. But I can't leave this up. This seems really dangerous. Alternatively, I could just Elderwood this. Sure. Maybe not. I don't know. It's a tough call. 10, 3, 2. You can still clear it with a Cypher's Wrath and the Horsemaster. Maybe I'll just give him the value and do this instead. Oh, I missed it. I was. Oh, and I've locked in. So I did miss the power up there because I ran out of time. Bit of a misplay on my part. It was very difficult turn because I didn't want to give him value, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to give him value anyway, and then I missed the Elderwood Embrace. However, if he does run the Brigand and the Horsemaster with a Cypher's Wrath into that, that is a lot of resources. That's going to cost him his board. He's going to gain 2 additional Faeria, which does work out quite nicely for him. He could take a clear on the 1/1 and potentially push an aggressive land. Play a Ground Shaker, block me with the Brigand. That is an option too. Takes a draw, so no aggressive lands this turn. Looks like he's gonna focus on the Piper. Interesting. So taking the Faeria value. Bombslinger? Bombslinger Flameburst is really good. I like that. That's fine for me. So now I take the clear on this card. I could even take its stats down a bit to give this some more durability, but I don't see the need to. Do this. Play the Willow. Do I want Faeria? No. I should have taken a draw first, my bad. We'll leave it at that. So if he loses his Horsemaster and say a Cypher's Wrath to the 7/5. See, I've given him such a tremendous Faeria advantage by going for that play with the Piper. I don't think it was correct. I think I should have just Elderwood and waited. Hopefully it won't cost me too greatly in the future. It just goes to show how good the underground cards are. You know, getting additional Faeria is so valuable. You know, in Faeria, it just gives you so much more economy. You get to play more cards. It lets you draw cards to find more answers if you have more Faeria to play with. If you look back to the previous game, I had so much Faeria. Once I set that aggressive forest, I could just keep drawing cards. It looks like he's planning to push his land out this turn. I'm going to go for the Garadan. Line. I can take care of this and lock this in. Maybe even reduce its power with the Emperor's Command. These are the 2 cards I'd want to go for. So I feel I can take a draw this turn. Another Okie Doklin. So we'll move here. Take the clear. Reduce this power by land. And then we'll go for a Piper. And just extend its life even more. Just make life as difficult as possible for our Garadan here. But also the other creatures he may plan on playing this turn. He isn't collecting any Faeria. So that Faeria advantage he did gain from the Brigand has gone. He's now behind because he invested a lot of Faeria into playing that Garadan. You know, it's 10 Faeria. He did manage to make a clear on the healer, but at the end of the day, I'm pretty much fine with that. Into a Blood Obelisk. That's not a card you see very often. That's pretty cool. Whenever an enemy creature dies in combat, deal 1 damage to your opponent and gain 1 Faeria. I was just talking about how important Faeria is when it comes to economy. You know, the more Faeria you have, the more cards you can play, the more options to draw. And that ends up being very nice for him. He's still one off. He's still one off from clearing this. I'm going to take a clear. Take the clear, move up to the collection, play the Oaklin, and set up for a Voice of Hunger play next turn. I like that. Do I want to play any lands? I could double neutral up the set up for a teleport. That seems pretty good. Clear this Axe Grinder. Take the collection. Play the Oaklin just in case this dies so I can double collect first. And then I can pass. Now Oaklin is going to be a major problem for him. And hopefully it doesn't hit my Grove Caller like all my power-ups do. Whenever I play any form of hand buff, Grove Callers always get powered up for me. Every time. I don't understand it. I must have a Grove Caller curse or something. Taking the hit first means he doesn't gain value from the Blood Obelisk. So if he did have, say, a way to get rid of it, say through a Cypher's Wrath on that line, he wouldn't have gained value, but it looks like he didn't. So I'll take the aggressive Forest now. Quite happy to line up the clear, just take care of that. Oh, he's going to gain, of course, he gains the value from the Blood Obelisk there. My mistake. And then nom nom nom, let's eat these stats. Good old, you would buff the Oaklin. To be fair, I actually believe that the Grove Caller was the best target in my hand right now. I know I just complained about how much I hate it, hitting my Grove Caller, but in this specific situation, the Grove Caller was the best target because, one, I probably want to feed the Oaklin or use it on another Voice of Hunger. Two, Tephra is already super expensive, so I'm probably not going to gain value from the power-up simply because I'm at a position now where I'm going to be pushing for a free turn clock. I might actually fight for board depending on what happens. A couple War Beasts, not too interested in that. So we are just going to teleport over. I could wait a turn actually and just solidify my lead in the spot with the Oaklin. I think that's reasonable, actually. Oh, no, I don't. No. Actually, I changed my mind. Let's just do it. Let's get in there. Elderwood Embrace is lethal. Red has been picking up in the metagame, especially during my stream. So this deck could be pretty good if you're having problems with red and you have some Voice of Hungers lying around. Give them a shot. You know, they're pretty fun. You know, you get these really powerful creatures, and with teleports and other shenanigans, you're able to deal a lot of damage or control the board very well. Just because they generally have such a high health stat, they're really hard to deal with. Goes for the draw. Might go for the old Grimguard plan. If I play enough Grimguards, I'll keep him at bay long enough. Looks like he's moving into a more defensive position with the Cobbled. I can just shimmy off to the side and make it more difficult. I can even shimmy to the side and just play an Oaklin now, and that blocks the clear on my Hunger, but also presents a 6/10 right next to his Orb. Very difficult position for this player. Shall I do it? You guys would want to see this, right? Let's do it. I was going to go for the Oaklin. We were going to go for the more fun line. There we go. A nice 14-16 this time. It was better to play the Oaklin, don't get me wrong, but 14-16 red player, what are you going to do about that? And there we have it. So very good against red decks. If you are having trouble, Voice of Hunger could be the answer. That concludes this episode of Card Spotlight. I hope you enjoyed it and you witnessed the power of Voice of Hunger against red decks. So if you are encountering a lot of them, be sure to try this out because you will stomp them with the enormous power that Voice of Hunger can gain. Be sure to check out the article in the description if you haven't already to give you some context of why I spotlight this card and some reasons of some of the picks I made and some of the synergies it has in the deck. And of course, if you do like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already to see my content when it crops up. Faeria.com/the-hub if you want to find more articles, guides and decks created by myself and the community. That's it for Card Spotlight. See you next week, guys. Take care and have a great day.